Most people think happiness comes from big life changes, a better job, more money, a different routine, a completely new life. But neuroscience shows something uncomfortable. Your brain isn't waiting for those things. It's already being trained every single day by the tiny habits you repeat without noticing. And the problem is, most of those habits are quietly teaching your mind to expect stress, distraction, and mental fatigue instead of clarity and progress. Here's the harsh psychology truth. Your brain doesn't automatically move toward happiness. It moves toward whatever patterns you practice the most. The way you start your morning, how you react to stress during the day, even how you close your night. All of these moments are programming your mindset in ways that directly affect your productivity, discipline, and ability to focus on what actually matters in life. But here's the good news. Neuroscience shows that the brain is incredibly trainable. Small behaviors, sometimes lasting less than a minute, can slowly rewire how your mind predicts the future, manages emotions, and maintains mental focus. In this video, you'll discover 6 tiny habits that can train your brain to feel happier every day. Not through motivation or empty positivity, but through simple patterns that improve your self-development, strengthen your mindset, and help you genuinely live better. Most people think their day starts when they get out of bed, but psychologically, the day starts the first moment the brain searches for meaning. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The average person wakes up and immediately trains their mind to look for problems. Notifications, emails, messages, news. Within seconds, the brain shifts into low-grade threat detection. Psychologists know that when this happens repeatedly, your mindset slowly adapts to expect stress instead of possibility. Now here's where it gets interesting. Neuroscience shows that the brain is constantly running what's called a prediction loop. Every morning it asks a silent question: is today going to be good or exhausting? And whatever information you feed it first becomes the lens for everything else. That's why 2 people can live similar lives, yet one seems optimistic and productive, while the other feels overwhelmed. The difference isn't talent, it's the mental focus pattern they train daily. So here's a tiny habit that quietly rewires that pattern. Before touching your phone, before opening your inbox, ask yourself one simple question. What is one thing I'm looking forward to today? Maybe it's a conversation with a friend, a workout that clears your head, a chapter from a book like Atomic Habits or Deep Work. Maybe it's simply the satisfaction of finishing a task that improves your productivity or time management. This small moment of anticipation activates dopamine pathways that prime the brain for forward motion. And the funny thing is, it takes about 30 seconds. That's it. But over time, this habit teaches your brain something powerful: to search for opportunity instead of friction. That's a foundational principle of real self-development and personal growth. Not forcing happiness, but training your perception. Because once the brain learns to expect progress, discipline becomes easier, decisions become clearer, and the day begins with intention instead of reaction. And if that tiny shift already feels interesting, wait until you see what happens when you add another small mental reset later in the day. One that quietly retrains what your brain pays attention to emotionally. Here's something most people misunderstand about the brain. It's not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. That means your mind is naturally wired to notice problems faster than good moments. Psychologists call this the negativity bias, and it quietly shapes your mindset throughout the day. A compliment fades quickly, but a criticism sticks for hours. And if you don't actively train your attention, your brain will default to scanning for what's wrong instead of what's meaningful. But here's where neuroscience gives us an interesting advantage. Your brain doesn't just react to experiences, it reacts to remembered emotions as well. That means you can deliberately strengthen positive neural pathways simply by revisiting a moment that felt good. Not by thinking about it casually, but by mentally stepping back into it for about 90 seconds. That short window is long enough for emotional circuits in the hippocampus to encode the experience more deeply. So imagine this. In the middle of your day, maybe after a stressful meeting or while switching between tasks, you pause for a minute and a half. You recall a moment you appreciated recently, maybe a genuine laugh with a friend, a quiet walk outside, the feeling of finishing a difficult task that required real discipline and mental focus. Instead of just naming the event, you replay the feeling. The brain starts treating that memory almost like a new experience, and the impact compounds. Because when you practice this tiny habit daily, you're subtly retraining what your mind considers important. Over time, this strengthens emotional resilience, improves productivity, and supports a more stable mindset for personal growth. It's one of those small life lessons that quietly changes how you live better without requiring dramatic effort. And interestingly, the next habit builds on this even further. Because there's another biological signal that influences mood and mental clarity far more than most people realize. Something so simple that people overlook it almost every morning. Now, here's something fascinating about the brain that most people overlook. Your mood isn't just shaped by your thoughts or your mindset, it's also regulated by a biological clock running quietly in the background. Deep in the brain, structures that manage circadian rhythm are constantly coordinating hormones that affect energy, emotional stability, productivity, and even discipline. When that rhythm is off, everything feels harder. Mental focus drops, motivation fades, and even simple tasks in your time management system start to feel heavier than they should. And here's the surprising part. One of the most powerful signals for resetting that internal system is something incredibly simple: natural light. When your eyes receive early daylight, the brain adjusts serotonin and dopamine pathways that influence emotional balance and cognitive clarity. This is why people who spend their mornings indoors, staring at screens, often feel mentally foggy without understanding why. It's not laziness, it's biology asking for the signal it expects. So imagine a small shift in your routine. Instead of going straight from bed to phone, you step outside for 2 to 5 minutes. No complicated routine, no productivity hack. Just daylight hitting your eyes while you breathe and let your mind settle. Maybe you take a short walk around the block. Maybe you sip your coffee by a window. These simple actions send powerful signals to the brain: regulate energy, stabilize mood, sharpen attention. Over time, this tiny ritual strengthens both mental focus and overall personal growth. Many people chase complicated strategies for how to live better while ignoring the foundational signals that shape brain chemistry every single day. Light exposure may not sound dramatic, but consistency turns it into a powerful anchor for your self-development and daily performance. It's the kind of habit that quietly upgrades your mindset without requiring extra discipline once it becomes routine. And interestingly, the next habit builds on this idea of using the body to influence the brain. Because your nervous system has another switch, one that can change your emotional state in just a few minutes, even in the middle of a busy day. Here's a psychology truth most people underestimate. The brain doesn't just control the body. The body constantly sends signals back to the brain. Your posture, breathing, and movement patterns influence how your nervous system interprets the world. Sit still for too long, shoulders tight, eyes glued to a screen, and the brain quietly interprets that as pressure or fatigue. That's why long work sessions can drain your productivity and mental focus, even when the tasks themselves aren't that difficult. But here's the good news. The nervous system responds incredibly fast to physical movement. Just a few minutes of motion increases blood flow to the brain and triggers small releases of endorphins and dopamine, the same chemicals associated with motivation and emotional stability. You're not trying to complete a workout, you're simply interrupting a stagnant state. This is one of those overlooked principles of real self-development. Sometimes the fastest way to improve your mindset is to move your body first. So imagine you're halfway through a demanding afternoon. Emails piling up, decisions stacking, time management starting to slip. Instead of forcing more focus, you step away for 3 minutes, stretch your shoulders, walk down the hallway, do 10 squats or a few push-ups. Shake the tension out of your arms like an athlete resetting between rounds. It may sound simple, even slightly funny, but the brain instantly interprets movement as progress. And that's the deeper lesson. When your body moves, your brain shifts out of stuck mode. Suddenly, the next task feels lighter, discipline feels more accessible, and clarity returns. Over time, These small resets become powerful tools for maintaining productivity and emotional balance throughout the day. Many high performers instinctively use this trick without even realizing the neuroscience behind it. But movement alone isn't what truly creates momentum in life. There's another psychological mechanism that drives motivation even more strongly: the brain's obsession with completion. And once you understand how that system works, you'll see why tiny finished actions can change your entire day. Here's something fascinating about human psychology. The brain is deeply addicted to finished things. Every time you complete a task, even a small one, your nervous system releases a subtle reward signal. It's a dopamine response tied not to effort, but to progress. That's why crossing something off a list feels satisfying. The brain interprets completion as movement forward, and that perception strengthens your mindset for productivity and personal growth. Now, here's the problem most people run into. They structure their days around large tasks only. Finish the project, write the report, solve the big problem. But when progress feels distant, motivation drops. The brain stops seeing momentum, and discipline becomes harder to sustain. This is where many people misinterpret their own psychology. They assume they lack willpower, when in reality, their brain simply hasn't received enough signals of progress. So instead of waiting for major achievements, high performers intentionally create micro-completions. Make the bed, reply to one delayed message, organize one small corner of your workspace, finish 5 minutes of focused reading, perhaps a page from Thinking Fast and Slow or Atomic Habits. Each tiny win trains the brain to expect forward motion, and once the brain expects movement, productivity begins to feel natural rather than forced. This is one of the most powerful principles in real self-development and time management. Momentum is rarely created by giant breakthroughs. It's built through a chain of small, finished actions that keep your mental focus pointed toward progress. Over time, those tiny completions reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone trying to improve and start seeing yourself as someone who consistently moves forward. And speaking of momentum, there's another area where the brain desperately wants closure: the end of the day. Because if you don't intentionally close your mental loops before sleep, the mind has a habit of replaying unfinished thoughts long into the night. Here's something psychology quietly reveals about the human brain. It hates open loops. Unfinished thoughts, unresolved tasks, unanswered questions. The mind keeps circling them like a computer program that refuses to shut down. That's why people often lie in bed feeling physically tired but mentally alert. The brain isn't trying to annoy you. It's simply attempting to resolve unfinished signals related to your productivity, responsibilities, and decisions. Now here's where a tiny habit can change everything. Instead of ending the day in a swirl of random thoughts, you create a 1-minute mental closure ritual. Before sleeping, ask yourself 2 simple questions. What went well today? And what is one small thing I'll handle tomorrow? This may sound almost too simple, but psychologically it does something powerful. It gives the brain a sense of completion and direction at the same time. Imagine the difference. Instead of replaying every mistake or unfinished task, your mind closes the day by acknowledging progress. Maybe you completed an important conversation. Maybe you improved your time management during a busy afternoon. Maybe you simply showed discipline and kept moving forward in your personal growth journey. That reflection signals the brain that the day had meaning, a crucial element in developing a stronger mindset and long-term mental focus. And that second question is equally important. Identifying one small task for tomorrow removes uncertainty from the mind. The brain no longer needs to scan for what might be forgotten. It already has a starting point. This simple habit supports better sleep, clearer mornings, and a smoother transition into the next day's self-development cycle. Now, here's something interesting that many people don't realize. When you combine habits like these, small mental resets, intentional focus, and structured reflection, you're essentially protecting your mind from the constant digital overload that destroys productivity and clarity. In fact, this exact problem is something explored deeply in a book called The Digital Hangover System: How to Reset Your Mind, Reorganize Your Week, and Regain Control of Productivity. If you've ever felt mentally scattered, overwhelmed by notifications, or unable to maintain deep focus, that's a resource worth checking out. The link is in the pinned comment for anyone who wants to explore it. Because ultimately, improving your mindset and learning how to live better isn't about massive transformations. It's about quiet adjustments that sharpen your discipline and help you regain control of your time, attention, and direction. And once you begin noticing those small upgrades in how your brain works, something surprising starts to happen. Your entire day begins to feel different. Stay quiet, stay sharp, stay in progress. Now here's the real question. After learning all of this, what are you actually going to do with it tomorrow morning? Because happiness isn't something that randomly appears in your life one day. It's something your brain gradually learns through patterns. The way you start your morning, the way you reset your mind during the day, the way you close your night. These tiny habits quietly shape your mindset, your discipline, and ultimately the quality of your life. Think about it for a second. What would happen if you applied just one of these habits consistently this week? Maybe the 30-second morning reframe. Maybe the 3-minute movement reset. Maybe the simple nighttime reflection that clears mental noise before sleep. Small actions like these strengthen mental focus, improve productivity, and create the kind of personal growth most people spend years chasing without realizing the solution was hidden in daily behavior. But here's something important to understand. Learning ideas is powerful, yet applying them is what transforms your life. Self-development only works when it becomes practice. So tonight, choose one habit from this video and test it. Watch how your mindset changes. Watch how your energy shifts. Watch how your ability to manage time and attention improves when your brain starts expecting progress instead of stress. And if you're serious about upgrading your mind and learning how to live better, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This channel exists for one reason: to help you sharpen your thinking, strengthen your discipline, and keep evolving your mindset, one idea at a time. And before you go, there's another psychological skill that changes how people perceive you instantly. Because feeling better internally is powerful. But the way others respond to you also shapes your confidence and opportunities. That's exactly why I made another video called "Do These 6 Things and People Instantly Respect You." If you want to understand the subtle behaviors that immediately increase respect, influence, and presence, click on that video now. It's appearing on your screen.